The SportsMax zone. We're going to talk some football now. Manchester City hosting Liverpool in round 4 of the EFL Cup as club football comes roaring back after the World Cup induced break. We have highlights of that heavyweight clash.
So it'll be City to get us underway. Flag stays down here against Haaland. And he's got options as well. Oh, what a bad miss. Palmer with the ball into Haaland. Didn't take long, did it? He's picked out here by Gundogan. Palmer forward to De Bruyne, who's clearly onside. And you just know he's going to find his man. He gets in front of Joe Gomez, who's static, and dispatches it emphatically. No chance at all for Kelleher. What a finish. We've seen a few of these this season already, haven't we? Inside, when they're not in possession, though it is a 4. Here's a chance for Carvalho! Milner high up the pitch. Coming forward from right back, which we haven't seen too much so far. It's his assist. Laid it in beautifully. Rodri. Mahrez makes the run. Mahrez! Finally, a goal again. Rodri, the provider. First touch made it, didn't it, for Mahrez? It's a beautiful touch with the outside of his left boot, away from Robertson. And the finish, absolutely majestic. Liverpool looking to respond with Darwin Núñez. Salah! The goal was gaping, and Salah gets his 15th of the season. The 6th City corner. Palmer. De Bruyne. Oh, what a ball again, and Ake heads home. The Belgian curls it to the far post. It's an absolutely delicious delivery, isn't it? Begging to be headed in. Mahrez. Foden can't get there. De Bruyne can! Fabinho on the line to deal with it, and then the save to deny Grealish. Ake with a miscue. Manchester City back to business, and back in business. They've dumped the holders out of the competition.
Yeah, big heavyweight clash there. Not quite Tyson Fury against Alexander Usyk, who are scheduled to have a unification bout in the new year. But Simon Evans, our international football correspondent, joining us now to review what happened today at the Etihad. And what a game it was. 5 goals, Simon, and a good return to club football in England.
Yeah, it was. He really was a good return to club football. He gave us the things that perhaps we've been missing a little bit. You know, as much as people enjoyed the World Cup, there is something different about two teams who know each other well, know their coaches well, well drilled, know what system they play, playing in a ground with the ground full of supporters of the two teams that they're playing, which is obviously a big difference. And so we got that level of intensity that perhaps we didn't always see during the World Cup games. Yeah, I'm going to give the producers some time to get that Mahrez goal, Simon, because quite frankly, that was delightful quality. The cross coming in, he chose with his first touch with a left boot. Most players would have taken the first touch with the right. I know he's predominantly left-footed, but it was more natural to take that ball with the right and then kick with the left. He took it with the left, the first touch sublime, and that was the goal of the match for me. Yeah, beautiful ball into him, and tremendous composure and execution there. I mean, he's an outstanding player, and he was, you know, a good reminder again, going back to the World Cup, that they're, you know, an Algerian player. We had, we've had Haaland there, who we didn't see at the World Cup. There's a lot of talent we didn't get to see over the last few weeks, and Mahrez is one of them, and showing us exactly why there. Yeah, and great for knockout football in England, Simon, that we could see two teams of this magnitude in a round of 16 clash. Yeah, absolutely. This competition does, it has its critics sometimes, but the big teams are taking it seriously. Despite all the comments, they want to win this. You look at how many times City have won it over the last 5 or 6 years. Incredible record in it, and Liverpool the only team that stopped them during that period.
Yep. Simon, did you see anything about the way Liverpool went about their work to suggest how they will trend in the second half of the Premier League season? Because we know that the first half was un-Liverpool-like under Klopp, very, very choppy, not fluent at all. Did you see anything to suggest that Darwin Núñez has finally come to hand, that Fabio Carvalho will have continue to have a significant role to play, and that Salah is back to his very best? Were you looking for these things? Did you see any of it in the Liverpool performance today?
The Núñez one was the most interesting because, we are looking to see whether he's inevitably drawing the comparisons with Haaland because the two big clubs made those two big centre-forward signings. And he's finishing, he could have had 2 or 3 goals today. Should have had, probably. But at the same time, he did play a key role in setting up other players and providing things. So it's not like he's totally off it. It's just his finishing wasn't there. Carvalho's a really interesting player, I think, who does give Liverpool a bit of something different. Whether he can force his way into that side when everybody is fit and firing, and you have plenty to choose from in those positions that he plays. But yeah, you just feel with Liverpool that it's still not quite the Liverpool that we've been used to over the last couple of seasons.
For the game I saw, I was on Fabinho watch in this game, Simon. Of course, after what happened with him at the World Cup, where he didn't see much game time. Do you get the impression that the blip from the Brazilian is just temporary, or may we begin to witness the unravelling of Fabinho and the outstanding servant he's been for Liverpool under Klopp's leadership?
The big question is his legs, isn't it? Because what he's got between his ears as a footballer is top. He reads the game so well. Technically, he knows how to play that position, which is so crucial, that deep line midfield position. Does he still have the legs to get across and make the challenges that he sees need to be made? And I think that's going to be a question. Whether we saw it, from a City point of view, we saw it with Fernandinho a little bit, didn't we? Where in the last year or two, his physical presence wasn't quite there. So we'll see. I'm not ready to write him off yet, but I think it'll be interesting to see how he copes with the stress and strains of this second part of the season. And
from a City perspective, the continued use of Jack Grealish off the bench. Yes, I know he was away with England at the World Cup, but he didn't play much. Rashford played more than him, and then Rashford started for Manchester United on Wednesday against Burnley at Old Trafford. Grealish's use by Pep Guardiola. Are you satisfied with the amount of game time he's giving to the record-breaking Englishman? Or do you think his play when he comes on dictates that he should be given more time, should start more games? And do you think that will happen from here on in?
Well, I don't think his play is dictating that, no. I mean, I can see why Jack Grealish would obviously want to be more involved, and people who like to see Jack Grealish want that to happen as well. But again, you look at the competition that there is for places there, and if you're playing with Mahrez and Foden and Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne plays out on that wide position as well, there's a lot of options. And Jack Grealish, I don't think he's ever looked really settled yet at Manchester City in terms of being able to impose himself. At Aston Villa, he was a player who everything went through. He made things happen, and he came into central positions and so on. We don't see that as much at City. He's playing as a left winger or inside left, and he's not really moving from that position. And so he just seems like a bit player at the moment at Manchester City, and he's rather an expensive bit player at £100 million.
Yeah, I don't like to hear my athletes talk about not reading the media, not paying attention to what other people do, not paying attention to what their rivals do. They're just focused on what they're doing, because I'm saying, well, how do you motivate yourself? And it's a far more difficult task, I believe, to motivate yourself when you shut yourself out from the outside world and have tunnel vision. There's a time and place for tunnel vision, but tunnel vision can't be the default setting. I say all that to say Erling Haaland doesn't strike me as a man who doesn't pay attention to what's happening around him. And I get the impression, Simon, that he would have sat and watched the World Cup, looked at and heard the plaudits given to Kylian Mbappe as the finest striker in world football right now, and want to prove to people that, The finest young striker in the world does not play in France, but he plays right here in England, and he wears the blue and white of Manchester City. Does he strike you as that kind of player? And do you think that will motivate him to reach even higher, the Norwegian?
Well, going back to the start of that, I'm always sceptical of footballers who say that they don't read things and don't listen to social media, etc., because I think they all do. I think very few of them and very few people can in the world live that kind of hermit-like existence where you don't know what people are saying about you when you're a public figure. Having said that, Haaland's motivation is there, his confidence is there. That goal tonight was really an absolute classic Haaland goal. I mean, it wasn't spectacular, but if you look at the angles involved, most strikers don't get that ball in the back of the net from that position. And he just has that ability, no matter what the angle and the height of the ball that comes into him, to be able to turn it into the goal. I mean, he anticipates it so well, gets in front of the defender, but the angle's there, that you need to have everything right. It's extraordinary. And I don't think there are many players in the world at all who would have been able to score that goal. For me, he's already up there in the conversation. I know we're not going to stop talking about goals and all that kind of thing. We gave that a good going the other day, didn't we? But he's up there in the conversation with who is the very, very best finishers in world football at the moment.
Yep, and the man who provided the assist to him, Kevin De Bruyne, do you expect that he'll be still smarting from what happened with Belgium? He'll be sulking over the manner of their exit, or he'll be saying, well, look, different scene, different time, different demands, different and better teammates, and that he'll kick on from here this season?
You know, I think that's the thing. I think he'll be thinking, great, I'm so glad to be back playing with Manchester City, because they're a much better team than Belgium were. They've got a much better coach than Belgium had. And he's got a much more chance of being successful in showing everybody what he can do. He didn't look happy with playing for Belgium at the World Cup. Not many of the Belgian team did. But this City team, they enjoy playing for Pep Guardiola and they enjoy winning games.
Yep. On the point of Manchester United, we saw them yesterday against your old team. Well, not your old team, your team, Burnley. You're a Turf Moor man. And the Burnley could have gotten a couple of goals, and the performance by Dubravka and the Manchester United goal didn't inspire much confidence. Rashford got a superb goal he scored, and then the first goal, Wan-Bissaka, the forgotten man of Manchester United defenders, got an assist for the Christian Eriksen goal. First game back for Ten Hag's men after the World Cup break. Not all the pieces involved, and we saw Casemiro at centre-half. How do you assess how they looked on Wednesday?
Yeah, they did look a little bit like tonight. We were looking at Liverpool and City and saying, well, you know, City don't look like they've been on a break for the last month. United did look like they've been on a break. It wasn't quite as fluent and as together as you thought that they might be. But lots of positive, decent little things happened there. I don't think they ever really looked massively in danger of getting involved in a complicated game with Burnley. There were chances in the second half where I think if Burnley had better quality up front, they might have got back into the game a little bit. But all in all, you know, for United, the big positive for me is Rashford. You know, he looks like Rashford again. I thought he was underused by England at the World Cup, and he's come back. He'll be very, very hungry. And he looks like Marcus Rashford again. Yeah,
we're almost out of time, Simon, but I saved a few seconds at the end to ask you this. Where do you stand on the Gareth Southgate at England situation? I know that he's very respectful, very accommodating to the media, and persons in our profession will love that in any manager. We ask a question, they answer, and they won't make it seem as if we're wasting their time and as if they're at the press conference under duress. But in terms of how he's used the tools at his disposal and what he's gotten from this England squad in the time that he has it, do you think he is worthy of continuing at least until the next Euros?
Well, I think, he does have many friends in the media, and it's an excellent lesson in public relations for people as well, that if you get on well with the media and you treat the media with respect, then when things don't go quite so well for you, they're more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt, which is what has happened with the British press, which used to ravage their national team managers when results went against them. He's a very good politician. He's a very good leader. He's developed that team. They're in a much better state than they were when he took over. But there's still this lingering doubt about when it comes to the crunch in those big games against the big teams, does he have the tactical nous and the decisiveness as a man on the touchline to impact games and make sure they go England's way. And I think he's failed the test really on that. But there isn't an obvious alternative. There wasn't anybody else wanted the job when he got it, and there's no one queuing up for that job at the moment. We saw Manchester City and Liverpool there. Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp wouldn't want that England job, even if England considered a foreign manager. So it's Southgate's job. He's going to the Euros with them. I think then, if it happens once again that England go out to the first big team that they face in the tournament, that'll be the end of the Southgate era. But he's got another couple of years to deal with the England team.
Yeah, he's the man in the chair, so we'll see what he do. I'll leave you with this stat, Simon. I share it with Lance. I was watching a program recently, and they did crunch some numbers, and they found that in the Gareth Southgate era, in his time as England manager, England has played a top 10 ranked team, according to the FIFA rankings. England would have played a top 10 team 24 times under Gareth Southgate, and they only won 4 of those games. 24 times, they only won 4 times out of the 24. And people use that to say, anytime England come across a team that you don't expect, that they're not necessarily favourites for going into the game, in any competition, they lose. And that, for them, is enough to suggest that a managerial change is necessary. But there are a lot of other things, so there you go. All right? We'll talk again, my friend. All the best to you.
All right, okay. Cheers.
Yep. That's an amazing stat though, Lance.
Yeah.
24 times, top 10 teams, and you only win 4? Not good.
Yeah, but my response to that, George, is that I don't rate England very highly. For decades, I haven't. So I'm not sure if that's on the coach. But I guess we could debate that.
There you go. All right. Well, there you go. We take a break. We come right back with more of the SportsMax.
Want more content? Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to SportsMax on cable, and download the SportsMax app today.